Hello, I'm Jim Cresswell, and I'm a professor from Ambrose University. I'm an associate with the Canadian Poverty Institute, and we're working with the Tamarack Institute on an important project. I'm here to provide an introduction to a series of videos where we present some of the initial research we've done thanks to funding from the Social Science Humanities Research Council. In March 2020, the World Health Organization officially declared the Covid-19 to be a global pandemic. It is now widely accepted that the Covid-19 pandemic and the public safety measures it required had a disproportionate effect on people who were impoverished or vulnerable to poverty. Alongside this, a number of people who were previously not at risk of poverty were rendered vulnerable because of the changes in their physical or emotional health, employment, expenses, housing, or social circumstances. Our team, operating out of Ambrose University, wanted to understand the experiences of these individuals. There are a few reasons for this. The first is that we were concerned that, if overlooked, people newly vulnerable to poverty could become impoverished in the long term, creating an extra burden for the social support systems that were already struggling prior to the pandemic. Second, our sense was that understanding the factors that made people vulnerable during the pandemic could be helpful for understanding how people become impoverished in other circumstances, since many of the issues brought on by the pandemic take place outside of it and preceded it, albeit in a less intense and sudden manner. Thirdly, the pandemic seemed to have served as a wake-up call concerning the systematic issues that have affected impoverished people across our society for some time. It seems to us that the post-pandemic period will provide a unique opportunity to reevaluate our social structures and social systems. We set out to conduct a three-stage research project into the effects of COVID-19 on those who were at risk for poverty prior to the pandemic or became at risk during the pandemic. The first stage of the research was to conduct a baseline assessment on the impact of COVID on these newly vulnerable people. The baseline is the subject of these videos. I'll tell you more about the content of the baseline research in a moment. Basically, we're at the end of phase 1 and we're moving into phase 2, doing interviews and focus groups. We plan to interview people about the baseline situation. After the interviews, we should be able to come back to the community and identify important avenues for change. We're working with community partners in 7 regions across Canada. The following video series are organized according to the following topics that are organized into chapters in our full report. Chapter 1 outlines how our team understands poverty on a theoretical level. We draw on the Canadian Poverty Institute Vulnerability Framework and other tools and frame poverty as a complex phenomena involving individual and social factors that affect a person's resilience. Chapter 2 conveys connections and discoveries that emerge from our attempt to map out support services in the regions of Calgary, Cape Breton, London, Perth, Huron, Peel, Revelstoke, and Saskatoon. Chapter 3 details what we learned from our regional points of contact concerning the nature and state of the poverty throughout Canada. Lastly, Chapter 4 reports on the findings of a representative survey of 1,500 Canadians. It reinforced our overall understanding of poverty and many of the things that have been shared with us by our regional points of contact, although it did present some challenging information as well, particularly surrounding the outlook of those on the margins of society. Altogether, we believe that our work and findings serve as an important contribution to the growing body of research that's being conducted in Canada and worldwide to understand how the pandemic has affected us, what needs to be done to recover from it. We realize that you may be busy and you don't have time to watch all the videos in sequence. Feel free to navigate to the information that is most helpful and relevant to you. If you'd like to be part of the interviews about this information, feel free to reach out to me at jim.cresswell@ambrose.edu.